We just finished 4 months of grueling basketball, and I got a little souvenir from it. 3 stitches and a championship. If you're a regular viewer of this channel, you already know that I do a lot of cycling, but before cycling, basketball used to be my main and really only form of exercise. And I wasn't the best player, but I contributed in every game that I played. And I also I'm really proud of this. Defensive Player of the Year one time. Then when the pandemic hit, sports like basketball was not encouraged and I focused solely on cycling. After 2 years of doing just cycling and going back to basketball, here's what I learned. First of all, cycling is so much easier on the body than basketball, especially when you get older. Now, after a basketball game, I have joints that hurt, legs that are sore, and it's very difficult to do exercise the next day right after a hard basketball practice or a hard basketball game. But the other problem was cycling does not do anything for your bone density. And last year was the first time I played in like 2 or 3 years, right? And all I did was get hit in the chest once with an elbow, and that hurt me a lot for weeks. I forgot what I had, like some kind of bone contusion or something, and my body was sore all the time after playing basketball. Fortunately, this year, since I've been running a little bit and did some weights for like a month and some home-based body weight exercises and some stretching, my body has fared a lot better. But that's something interesting to think about if you decide to do another sport also. Just know that cycling does not do anything for bone density. So if you get hit, it's gonna hurt. Of course, since I wasn't playing basketball anymore, my skills, what little skill that I had in playing basketball, diminished greatly. So I didn't really have much of a bag to begin with. I'm not much of a scorer or a dribbler. But in many ways, because of cycling, my cardio was just so much better. It made me more effective in a different way. So prior to cycling, basketball was my only form of exercise. I would have basketball practices, pickup games, and occasionally tournaments. And I wasn't bad. Like I got that Defensive Player of the Year award well before I got into cycling. But I realized that if I were doing some sort of training outside of basketball, like if I were doing running or cycling or weight training outside of basketball, I would have been a so much better player. So since I was doing a lot of cycling, my cardio and endurance was just at another level compared to what I was able to do before. And that meant that I could be effective for longer, especially during tournament games where you are expected to go all out for the number of minutes that you are in the game. So that meant I was making less mistakes. I was missing less open layups. I was getting better legs on my jump shots. And things like going to the free throw line. Before, I would go to the free throw line and I would be so gassed that it would affect my free throw shot. And this season, I recovered pretty quickly from the intensity of running back and forth that when I would get to the free throw line, I would be rested and be able to make a proper free throw attempt. And you could even see it from the guys who did weight training regularly. So the guys who did weight training regularly, they were obviously much bigger, but these were also the same guys who could barrel through the opposing big men on a regular basis. That was not me. I mean, I could run faster and longer than most other people, but my other teammates, the guys who did a lot of weights, they could barrel through pretty effectively. Cycling training also made me realize the importance of specific training. So I incorporated that into basketball. I was never a great facilitator or great ball handler, and that was never my role anyway. And my role really is just to run on the break as fast as I can, get to open spots, make the occasional open jumper, and play defense, like a lot of defense. So I focused on in-game situations. So I knew the shots that I had to take. I knew the spots that I would be open. And those were the spots that I primarily practiced. I took as many open shots as I could at those spots. And at the same time, I listened to the coaches and more experienced players on how to be more effective defensively. And I feel like that really made a big difference in this season in particular. I'm not a professional basketball player. I'm not playing basketball as much as I used to. So I would just focus on the things that I was good at and effective in, and also at the things that contributed to the team. Cycling nutrition also gave me a better understanding on how to properly prepare for tournament games. So we know that nutrition and hydration is key to being able to stay on the bike for longer. And this was also key in being more effective during basketball games. So what I did was an hour or two before the game, I'd have an electrolyte drink. And then during the game, I'd have two water bottles. In one water bottle is just water, and the other water bottle will either be a carb drink or an electrolyte drink. And I feel like this made a difference, especially in games that were very intense. Towards the playoffs, I even started drinking coffee right before shoot around, since caffeine intake is linked to better endurance performance and high intensity exercise. Although cycling is my main sport, the tournament this year and last year reminded me of why I still love basketball. The camaraderie between my basketball teammates is just something that's difficult to create in the context of cycling. Professional cycling is a team sport, but generally speaking, cycling can be something that you do for the most part by yourself. And that feeling being with all of your friends, having this joint activity and this joint goal, that is something that basketball brings really easily. Especially for these guys, because this tournament is an alumni tournament, so I'm playing with my batchmates. So these are guys that I've known since grade school. Friendship and just hanging out with good buddies, that's something that becomes a little bit more rare the older we get, especially for us males. Oh yeah, the stitches. Let me talk about the stitches. This is 3 stitches. I got this in the last game of the tournament. It was the finals game, and I inadvertently got hit with an elbow in the face. So I saw right away that I was bleeding. So I put my hand up, went to the bench. They put a bandage on it. They didn't stitch it right then and there, but they put a bandage on it, and I went back in the game, and eventually we won that game, which means that we are the Shaba Division A champions of 2023. It's nice to say. We've been joining that league as a batch for the past 7 years, and it's been really difficult. So the celebration was very nice. As we get older, it feels like we don't make as many lasting memories with friends anymore. But I feel like I'm gonna remember this a long time. Okay, so this is still mainly a cycling channel, and the basketball season is over. Hopefully that means I'll have more time to bike. So if you want to learn how to get better at cycling, I made a video about that too. You can check that out over here. Cheers!